Hi everyone, then let's start. So first of all, let me share the screen. Okay, is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so here we are. So last time we did a lot of whiteboarding. We understood from a problem statement how do we actually figure out what are the models that we need to make. And according to the project requirements, we also figured what are the different fields that these models would require. And after that, we also had what are the different APIs that we would require to create. So APIs would be the next step. First would be the model creation. So we'll start off with the code. We'll create a Flask application. We'll have the models, and then we'll start with the further processes, right? So these are the models that we need to create. All right. So first of all, I'll begin with how to create a GitHub repository. Then how do we code with that, right? So let's do that. So first, okay, let me remove all this. Right. So first we'll go to GitHub. This is important because all the code that you'll be writing will be on GitHub. So all the code that we'll be pushing will be on GitHub, and that is mandated. So that Git tracker has to be also there. You have to fill up a form after that and add as a collaborator also for mat to ID. So this is important step. So first of all, let's create a new GitHub repository. I'll name it project session September 25 and then grocery. All right. So this is, you can name it anything, whatever you like, whatever project you're creating. And this visibility for you, it should be private. This is a very must thing that you have to do. Otherwise, if it is public, then anyone can access your repository and then they can copy your code. So for you, it will be private. For me, I will create it as a public repository so that I can share with you, right? Keep this in mind, make it private. Okay, start with a template. Let's have no templates. Yeah, so do one thing, add this readme. So it will instantiate a readme file for it. Uh, let's not have a git ignore or anything, just have this readme as yes. Okay, so name and then readme, have this as private, and then we'll create this repository. Okay, so my repository has now been created. And then what we will do, we'll go into VS Code and then let's go into a terminal first. So if you are in Windows, you can go into either CMD, or if you have WSL installed, you can go into that. And then create a particular, wherever you want to code, just open VS Code there. So I want to, let's see what folders I have. So here I will create a folder, and I will open VS Code in here. So to open VS Code, you simply write code space dot. So open VS Code in this particular directory. That's what it means. Okay, so VS Code is now opened here. I will trust the authors. Okay, so now important step. So if you have not previously used Git or GitHub before, this step is important for you. You have to go here, source control. Okay, and then let's see. I want to copy this, whatever we created inside here. So let's see. Okay, I thought you had to do it from here, but let's do one thing. Press Control, Shift, and P. So you will see this arrow symbol over here in the search. This means you can type commands in VS Code. So type in GitHub authentication or
Sir, what command do we need to press?
Control Shift P.
P. Okay.
Okay, and then there should be some authentication kind of here. I forgot the actual command dev containers. Let's see.
So what are you trying? What are we trying to do?
Yeah, so git open repository. This one you want to open. Git open repository. Okay, so you go here. Uh, Actually, I'm not getting the proper command.
So are we initializing the project?
So we need to go to the GitHub website, the link, the repository that we opened. From there, we need to copy, right? And then git clone.
Yeah, you can do that. I wanted to directly clone from here. Yeah, git clone. So that should be here. Okay, so you have to type Control Shift P and then go git clone. Okay, then clone from GitHub option would be there. Press here. It will say GitHub wants to sign in using GitHub. Okay, so this will sign in your VS Code using your GitHub. Now you can access all the private repositories that you have inside GitHub. So click allow and then sign in. It will ask you to log in via either browser. So browser, it will ask you login. For me, I've already done that, so it is not asking me to log into the browser. Okay, so now you have done that, and then should clone git clone repository name. You can whatever repository that you have created should be mentioned over here. Okay, so this is the easy way of doing things. You can also do git clone from your command line CLI, but this is way easier in order to authenticate Git with VS Code so that integration becomes way easier. So this is the last one, latest one that I had created, project session, September 25. I'll click here, and wherever you want to clone this, it will ask you. So right now I wanted it here in, I created a project session. Yeah. So here I want to select. Okay. So it will clone that and it will ask you if you want to open that. So open. Now that folder will open up in VS Code. If you don't get an option like this, that is completely fine. You can manually navigate to where you have cloned that repository and you can open using code dot. So you can just manually go here, and if you see here, there is this project, this GitHub repository that I cloned from cloud to my local machine. And then you can manually go here, cd project, and then code dot. So that will also open VS Code in this particular directory. Fine. Is this okay with everyone?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So
So could
now
you
that
show the
you have,
terminal once again?
yeah,
Okay, sir. Thank you.
okay. So here we are. We have cloned a cloud repository into our local machines. So the first milestone for you would be to just create this repository. So the first milestone we have completed, milestone 0. So after that, we'll just either have some changes. I don't have any changes right now, so let me just have created repository. Okay, I save it. Now here in the source control panel, for you it will be on the left hand side. Okay, so the source control, go here, you see the changes that has been made, and now you can say whatever is the milestone message that you copy. So let's go here to the milestones. Okay, you have a milestones, right? Milestone doc you have for your particular project statements. You go here and let's see, where is this? This is one of the previous ones, but you get my point. Just copy that commit message from here. So milestone 0 would be similar. Copy the commit message. And then in VS Code, type the commit message, just paste the commit message here and then commit. So this is our 0th milestone commit. Oh, first you have to stage these changes. So yes, you would like to stage all your changes and commit them directly. So I would say yes. That means it will first do git add, then git commit. Okay, and then you can sync changes. Sync changes means it will push all the changes that you have locally into the cloud. That means now GitHub will also have the changes. So you have to sync the changes. Okay, so now you can see the initial commit was there. Now milestone 0. This is the next commit message. Fine. So this is how you do the commits. Okay, so now we are through with this. Everyone's clear with how to do commits?
Yes, sir.
Let's
Sir,
save
could
it.
you tell where you choose this option for
Uh,
committing?
yes, you see a source code, source control panel over here. This line with some dots, graph.
Oh,
It will be
okay,
on the
sir.
left hand side for you. By default, it is on the left hand side. Okay,
Okay,
so
sir.
you have this
Thanks.
file. File is the default one that you have. Then you have search and then this source control. Okay, you can type the message and then commit. Fine. So we are through with this committing. For every commit, every milestone that you create, you should have a commit for that. So whatever next milestone that you do, like creating models or whatever milestone you have given in the documentation, you have to commit in that way. And you can have intermediary commits in between. If you want for just for you, if you want to have a commit, you can have it. That is not an issue. Okay, so let's start with the actual coding. So first of all, I'll create two folders. One will be the front end and one would be, okay, so this is not a folder, this is a file. Let me delete this. Okay, so front end. So this will create all, this will have all the front end code. Next up, I'll create a backend that we'll be doing today. So these are the two different folders that we'll be having. And inside the backend only, we'll do all the code for today. Okay, so first of all, let's start with the Flask project. So I'll create a new file, app.py. This will instantiate the Flask. All right. So this app.py will be our entry point. So first of all, what do? We first import Flask. You see right now I have red here. That means my VS Code does not know what this Flask is. Could anyone say why? Any
Module is
idea?
not imported.
Yeah, so right now my computer does not have this Flask for me. So let's have that. Let's import, let's download that, and then we can have that. Okay, so for doing that, we'll go to the terminal. So you can go here, new terminal. So this terminal will open up. Or a shortcut is control and this tilde key. Tilde key is the one to left of one. The left of
So,
one, that is the tilde key.
would we be installing virtual environment here?
That depends on you. If you want, you can install it. But I would suggest skip it. That's not very important.
Okay, sir.
Because sometimes it gives a problem because every time you have to reinstall virtual environment. So just skip it. The important thing is whenever you have a working application, just save all that pip freeze into a requirements.txt. So anytime that your code changes or something, then you can use that requirements.txt in order to recreate that previous environment. So that would be my suggestion. All right, so let's let's install Flask. So pip install Flask. Okay, pip I don't have, so let's have pip3 install Flask. So in Windows, you would normally see pip instead of pip3. So either of these commands, pip or pip3, install Flask. So now if you see, then it should resolve in some time, maybe. Let's see. Okay, so if that will happen, let's create this app. So I'll create a function def create app. And then inside this, I'll instantiate the app. Okay. And then if name is main, then I'll run this. That means if it is running through a script, then app.run. Okay. And since I want this app to be globally, I want to run this function. So app equal to create Flask, create app, and also have to return this app from this function. All right. This is our base thing done. Let's see if it runs or not. So I would go into backend, cd backend, and then see I'm right now in the backend folder. That is where my app.py is. That is how I'll run Python 3 app.py, or you could do Flask run, both work. So that means this is now running, but this pylance has not resolved yet. So let me just check what is the issue. I'll just tell it to have the global Python interpreter that might be installed there. So still not resolved. See, this is a problem because there are multiple Python versions installed. And when I did pip3 install, I don't know which one I installed Python in. That's why sometimes virtual environment would be helpful. Yeah, so you see, I changed the Python. We have these many Python versions. This is the inside homebrew, I have inside local bin, and in here also have a Python. So this is the Python that I installed with. Okay, so you can change the interpreter over here. So now this Flask server is running. Everyone okay with this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, I have a question here.
Yes.
What is the difference between this setup and a simple fast API setup? Both are taking us to an endpoint, right?
Flask API setup, what do you mean?
Fast API.
Oh, fast API. I've not used fast API, so I can't tell you about that.
Okay, but both are similar, or like the
Yeah,
route
pretty
to
much
endpoint?
similar. Flask is a more like a micro framework. What it does
Yeah,
is break
Python
things
script.
down into different frame. So it has different extensions for different things. So when you are using Flask SQL Alchemy, you are using another extension. When you're using Flask RESTful, so multiple extensions we are using in order to achieve what we want. Fast API has more of a everything built into it kind of approach.
Okay, okay, got it.
Okay, so here we are created. Now let's create a models. Inside this backend folder itself, I'll create another file, models.py. Okay, so let's create models here. Remember what we had? Let me bring that up. So this was the list of all the things that we required, right? User and user will have these many sub models: admin, customer, manager. Then we'll have product, section, sale item, role, and user roles. Role and user role is specifically because we'll be using Flask security. Okay, we'll implement that later. First, let's go with the base models that we want. Then we'll implement Flask security also. Okay, so first of all, what I usually like to do is have the database instantiated in a different file. So the DB instantiated in a different file. That is one thing I like to do, but you are not exclusively told to do this. So it sometimes you get some kind of circular import errors, that kind of, to mitigate that, I have this extensions. In here we'll instantiate Flask SQL Alchemy. So first of all, I have to install that as well. pip3 install Flask -SQL Alchemy. Okay, Flask SQL Alchemy. So this is the extension that we'll be using in order to have my database setup, all the model setup. Okay, it is installing. It is installed. And I will instantiate it over here. So
The models we are using for databases, right? Why extension?
yes. This is just that, not extension. See, Flask SQL Alchemy is an extension to Flask. That's what I'm trying to say. Extensions, this file particularly is just for instantiating the Flask security, Flask SQL Alchemy. So when you import,
Okay.
it will be easier from Flask SQL Alchemy.
So then all this can be done through a requirements.txt file as well?
No, this is a different, yeah, the installation would be done through requirements.txt. This is importing and then coding. Coding would be done like this only.
Yeah.
So I'll import SQL Alchemy and DB equal to SQL Alchemy. I'll write over here. Now I can import DB from this extensions.py anywhere. That is why I have it over here. Otherwise, you would see this inside models also. That is also fine. Particularly, sometimes I have run into issues with circular import. That is why I do it like this. Okay, so in models, I'll import DB. From extensions, I'll import DB. I mean, the spelling is a little wrong, I guess. Extensions, let me change that. Okay, I changed the spelling. And then first of all, let's create the models. What would be the first one? User model. Okay, so user model will have the data of all the users basically, and then we'll split that into different kind of models. Okay, so what are the basic things that we require in the user model? So remember, we had it over here. I did not write it down,
ID
but the
email.
basic things are,
So user
so
ID.
ID would be there. ID would be there, name would be there, email would be there. These are the basic things, right? So let's have that. So this user class is a child to db.models. Okay. And then we'll have ID. That would be integer, right? db.integer. Primary key equal to true. Okay. Name would be again db.column. So db.column creates a new column in the database. db.column, it will be a string. Okay, required equal to true. Let's have that. Email also. Okay. Do we need anything else? Okay, not right now. So you would see a lot of times we repeat certain things, like ID would be repeated into a lot of things, right? In every class that we create, suppose class, next would be class, what did we have? Class product.
So email
So
should be unique, right?
correct. Yes, unique should be true here. Okay, so unique should be true. Okay, so what I was getting to is this ID would be repeated a lot of times in every class, every model that we create. What else could be mm, common? So we generally have a created at deleted at attribute, so that we keep track of when we created this column, when we deleted this column. So what we generally do is create an abstract class so that we inherit from that. So all the common attributes are inside in one class, and that would be an abstract one. So that will not create a database. It will not create a column in the database. It will be just for inheriting purpose. So that is what we do. So let's have a class base, and then we'll inherit the db.model. And in here, I will describe all the things that are common between all the models. So ID would be common. I'll just copy this. I'll just move it. Okay, what else could be common? Created at. Created at is something that we create track of when we created this particular item. So it gives it becomes easier to sort it according to time and so on. So this would be date time, db.datetime, and we also have a default value. So default value will be whenever we create this, that is when this function will run and create a default time for me. So for default value would be the current time that this function runs at, right? So let's have a date time dot now, and it's a general good practice to have all the dates in UTC time. Okay, you know what is UTC? Basically, it's like it's a time that everyone agrees on, the GMT time. So it's not exactly the same, but uh, we keep track of accordingly to that. And whenever we are in the Indian time zone, we can have plus 530 on that. So you can auto convert it. So this should be a time zone aware data. So it's general practice better to keep it in a UTC time. So for that, we'll give it. So let's give time zone dot UTC. I have to import this date time and time zone. Okay, so this will give me the current time zone. But can anyone tell me, is this right or wrong? The way I've given it like this. Okay, I'll tell you it is wrong. Anyone guesses? Can anyone guess why is this wrong? The code is not wrong. The way that I've given it to the model is wrong. See, whenever we give any particular function to a model, what happens? It computes this function, and then it uses this function. What is the computed value? Multiple times. So it computes it once and then uses it multiple times. Whenever I create something, it will use a computed value. So that is not what we want. We want this function to execute each time that created at is run. Right, that is what we want. Anytime I create the model, anytime I create a data, then this function should run. But the default behavior of Flask, this is Flask SQL Alchemy, is compute it and store this value and use it wherever required. This is because of efficiency purposes. So you don't have to manually compute it multiple times. But in here, this will create a problem. It will use the same time zone, same date for everything. So I have to give it like a function. I have to give it like a function, not calling it, basically giving it a function, and then that function will be called later on. So we'll give a lambda function. Okay, so now I've told this is a lambda function. Call it whenever this function is run, whenever this created at is run. So now it will compute it every time. Okay, is that fine?
Sir, I didn't understand the previous why the previous syntax was wrong.
See, when I do datetime.now timezone.utc, it will give me the date time of the time zone UTC whenever whenever this base model is created. Okay, and that data will be stored and then it will be reused every time a new data is fed into the database. So anytime a new data is fed, it will use the same data. It will not recompute this function again and again.
That means, sir, time will same, not
Yeah,
updated
time will
one.
be same. Yes, it will not be the updated one. But when I give it a lambda function, that means I'm see what do I do if I don't give it a lambda function? That means I compute the value, I call this function, and whatever is the value of the called function, that will be the default value.
Got it,
Is
sir.
it
Got
making
it.
sense?
Yes, sir.
I
Got
am
it.
computing it right now, and whatever is the default value would be used for everything. But if I give it a lambda function, that means I'm not giving it the value. I'm giving it a function, and that function will be called whenever this created art is run.
Got it, sir. Got it. Yes.
Okay, so you have to think about anytime you have something changing, you have to give it a lambda function, so it will create it all the time. Call it whenever it is required. Okay, so
Oh,
created
yes,
at
sir.
and
For the
deleted
models
at.
one, na? For the model.
Yes. Okay, created at created at, and let's have updated at. Let's not have deleted at. You can just copy paste the same thing. Default equal to date time dot now and then time zone dot UTC. Okay, and one more thing I have to do here. We have to say when a data is updated, then what? Then also have to manually add that. So on update, I do the same thing. I give it this particular value. So for every time this data is updated, it will automatically call this. So something is wrong.
Double equals to, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So on update, then we call this function. Okay. So this automatically takes care of my date times. Whenever this is created, whenever it is updated, it will automatically store these values. Okay. So one more thing, when I'm using timezone.utc, I need to say that this date time should be time zone aware. So let's have time zone equal to true. So that Flask SQL Alchemy, this is the one that we gave to Flask SQL Alchemy. That also recognizes that
Sir,
we are
sorry
storing
to
the
interrupt, sir. Sir,
time zone values.
why, sir, base model we have used?
Base model we'll be using. These are the fields that will be available to each and every model. So instead of writing all these three or this four, these are three values, right? Three attributes in every model. I just store it once, and then I can just inherit from that.
Sir, okay, okay.
We are using inheritance in order to create all the required fields.
Sir, or this can be implemented through RBAC, role-based access control.
No, this is different thing. This is just so that I don't copy paste all this. See, ID would be there for every model, right? For user also, for product also. Created ad, updated ad will be there for everything. So instead of copy pasting, so this is basically like instead of copy and pasting it everywhere, I just define it once. And then I inherit that base model for each model.
Sir, why we use time zone equals to true in date time?
We use that because Flask SQL Alchemy has to recognize that this time zone, this date time is time zone aware. That means, so by that I mean if I give it a value of, if I give it a UTC value with a plus 530, then it will automatically convert it into, sorry, if I give it a value and then I tell it time zone, it is my time zone, then it will automatically convert it into a UTC value.
Oh,
Okay, so
okay, sir.
let's not copy paste everywhere. We have just this, and then this is the base model which has inherited db.model. Okay, so I can just inherit the base model over here. Okay, so all the three different fields that will be present over here itself. I
Sir,
don't have to
sir,
manually write
हाँ,
everything.
sir, created and updated. We are just we have to मतलब सर ये मतलब लिखना पड़ेगा या फिर हम एक्स्ट्रा कुछ दे रहे हैं मतलब कब क्रिएट हुआ
It is, it is more like extra thing, but it helps to sort things out. So how do you sort that? What is the latest product? We have something like that in, we have to show what is the latest added product. So those things should be there.
So, sir, how we will access them using relationship or
No, no,
any?
no. It is exactly like writing it over here. If I write created at over here, it is exactly like writing that. So you can
Oh,
just say user dot created at. That is how you access it.
just like method or a function calling.
Yeah, yeah. Just like you access the name, you can also access the created at, updated at.
Oh, oh,
It is
okay.
no different than that. Only thing you have to do is whenever we create a class here, right? It creates a database, entry in the database, right? So user becomes an entry in the database. User, this table, user table. So base model should not be a table. Am I right? Base model should not be a table. So for that, we have a special thing that we can add is abstract is true. So this tells me, this tells SQL Alchemy not to create a table for this base model because we are not using this as a table. We are just using it as one place to write all the common fields. Is it okay? When you
Okay.
add this,
Yes,
it
sir.
will not create
Oh,
a entry in the database. Okay, so now I can just inherit from the base model, and then I will have all the three different fields and any other more fields if I want, I can add it over here in the base model. So it becomes more extensible. Anytime you want to change, if you want to add a common field in every model, you just add it in this base model.
Sir, excuse me. Uh,
Yeah.
Sir, it is not added into the database with the abstract, but if we can use it still for querying, right? Querying tables or something.
Yeah. See what this base model does for me, what I want. I just want ID created at updated at these three attributes in every model, in user model. Okay, that is what I
Yes, sir.
want. So you can just access it normally. You can just say user dot created at, that will give you the whatever value is there for this particular user model. Okay, product
But if,
dot updated at. You can
but
query
if we
it, you
want,
can do yeah, you can do whatever you want using the normal methods. Does not change that.
we can use filter by with this ID, right? Like,
Yes, yes, definitely. See, this is what this does is just copy this, paste it in the user. That's what it is doing.
but it won't
Understood?
be available in the, it won't be visible in the table, right?
No, no, it will be visible in the table for the user, for the product. It will be visible for them. It will not create a different table for base model. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, sir. Thank
Okay.
you.
So I'll show the database when we create the database. Every model that we create, so user product will have a table, right? User table, product table, and so on. It will not create a base model table when we see abstract equal to true.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
That is what it is doing.
Excuse me, sir. This base model will
Yes.
be inherited by all the other classes that we'll be creating, or can we create some without this base model?
Yeah, so whatever you want, you can do that.
Okay, thank you.
So if you're creating something that does not inherit base model, you just have to inherit db.model.
Okay,
All
thank
right. Okay, so that was our user name, email. You would also need password, right? Password is important. Okay, next up, product. Let's see what we had in products. Okay, this is the products, all the things that we had. ID, name, section ID. Let me copy everything. And if you want anything new to add, we'll add that. So ID is already taken care of by the base model, no need. Then we have name. Again, name would be a string. Let's have required equal to true. Copy paste. Section ID would be a foreign key, so I'll write it somewhere like in the bottom side. Price, what would price be?
Float, sir.
See, I don't like using, I mean, see, floating point has certain problems. That's why we tend not to use float when we talk about prices and currency and so on. Do you have any alternatives? See, ever try doing this? Just so let's open Python terminal, Python shell. So what happens if I do 0.2 plus 0.1? See, that is what floating point sometimes creates some problems. This is not a problem with Python or JavaScript or anything. This is how floating points behave. Right, so that is why we don't tend to use it for uh, currency purposes or exact counting.
Sir, why it is showing? Any reason about that?
Yeah, this is how floating points are defined. So if you have read about how floating points are there, so we have something called as the mantissa that gives how much the power is, and then so basically you have to say how much where the point should be. You have to mention that in the floating point, and how much is the integer value, how much is the decimal value. So the IEEE standard that floating point is defined on, because of that itself, we have this issue. So anytime you see currency based system, everything mostly are based on integers. It's not based on floating points. Okay, so any other alternative other than floating point?
Double, sir. Double.
No, double has the same problem. It is also a float. Okay, so let's have it for Flask SVM alchemy. We have something called as numeric, db.numeric. So that numeric. Okay, so that defines how many. It basically stores as an integer, but we define it. So think of it as a more refined float point, storing it as an integer but having decimals. So numeric we can say that how many decimals we want. So let's have 10 on the left, 2 on the 2 decimal points. Okay, so 2 decimal points should be there. 10 is the decimal, sorry, on the left hand side of the dot, and 2 is on the right hand side. So that means we can store values like 10.1, 10.10, 10.12, and so on. Okay, so db.numeric, and
Sir, 10 left side 10 means we can store 10 characters, no?
8
let's see the
character.
definition. Not really sure about the 10 thing. Is it the full character or on the left hand side? Just go into the definition or Google search it, you will get
I think,
what
sir,
is the
this
exact
10
meaning
denote
of 10.
this 10 denotes the total number of digits and what
Yeah,
the
let's not speculate on that. Just Google search it, right? And then tell us. Okay, so we have this numeric that is much more safer. And then let's have nullable equal to false. Oh, and why we are saying required? Should be nullable, right? Is there something called as required? I mixed things up. I think it should be nullable instead of required.
false.
False. Okay. Nullable false. Stock is the number of quantity. So it should be either you can use numeric or you can use integer also. What do you want? Let's have integer only. Actually not. We should use numeric. Suppose someone buys 10.5 kgs, then the stock should reduce by that. Okay, so let's have numeric again. Right now, I'm not making a lot of things nullable because testing it, sometimes you have to be a little lenient because while testing it, I don't want to fill in all the things. So let's not keep it nullable let's keep it nullable as of now, and later we'll harden this database. Expiry. db.column, db.datetime, and then time zone equal to true. Let's have that. Okay, so again, this expiry would be a time, date time, and then unit of sale. So units of sale, so what I mean by that, it should be either kg, rupees per kg, rupees per liter, or like integer value. How do you say that? So increment by 1. So suppose I'm taking biscuit. I'm taking 1 biscuit, 2 biscuit. Okay, so let's have that. Kg, liter, or item. Let's have that. These three options should be there. Kg, liter, or item. So to enforce this, what we can do is we can use something called as a enum. Have you heard about this enum? So these are like strings only, but they are mapped strings. So you can only use these particular strings in order to fit it into the database.
Sir, what is unlighting?
Oh, liter.
Okay, sir.
So these are the unit of sale. We have to maintain differently because see, kg and liter could be interchanged. That is not an issue. But for item, I can't have if I'm taking biscuit, I can't have 1.1. I can't take 1.1 biscuit. So for that enforcement, I have to have these things. So let's have this. Either have a kg, liter, or item. Okay, manufacturing date. Again, same as expiry. Okay. So section ID would be a foreign key. So I have not created a section yet. So let's create a section next. Before that, is everyone clear with this product model? I've used certain new things that you would have come across, specifically numeric and enum. Is everyone okay with this? If you don't want to use enum, you can just use a string and then manually enforce that logic in your backend, in your controller.
Briefly explain how new enum works.
Enum is basically like this.
It can have
It
different
means that
units.
you can have values either kg, liter, or item. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, it is a mapping like 0 kg, 1 liter, 2 items. So it maps it like this, but you don't have to worry about the internal mapping. Basically, what it just is,
instead of
you
item
can
we can
only have.
use unit. That will be good.
Okay, unit. Okay, so you can either have these three strings, but other than that, you can't have. Database will the SQL alchemy would give you integrity error if you try to store any other string other than this. Okay, fine with this. Any other questions? Okay, let's move
No,
on
sir.
to section. Section is basically one section will hold multiple products. So section would have just the name, and then it will be multiple products would be inside a section. So let's suppose a soft drink section. So Coca-Cola, Pepsi, that would be under the soft drink section. So it is pretty simple. Let's go back to where we had it. Okay, we have this name, ID, and status change data. Remember? Do you remember when we talked about this in the last session? So we did this because when a manager changes or modifies a section, then that data is not immediately reflected in the section. It should first go to the admin, then admin when the admin says, okay, this is approved, then only the section should change. So that is why we had the section change data. Did anyone think about this? Any idea what would be a better way of doing this? If there is no other idea, I would just use this. Okay, so I don't think anyone has a better idea. We'll just use
Sir,
this.
I didn't understand idea for what.
Okay, so our in a project description, what was the section? How do we change a section? First of all, admin has a right to change the section. That is completely fine. They will directly change the section. Okay, but when a manager, which is another role, changes a section, that should not immediately change the section. That request has to first go to the admin, then the admin should approve a section. When they approve this, then only the changes get reflected. That is the whole idea behind this. Okay.
Okay.
So just talking about this, I had another idea. Why not create another model for requests? So we can either take that, create another request model in which we will send all the requests. So let's have a poll. What do you want? What is, let's have democracy. So the idea here is we have section. How do you want to change the data?
So cascading, I'm not sure how to implement
That
that.
is a different thing. Cascading is a different thing. We'll also implement that. So the data change thing is, first we'll store the data change in the model itself. That is one thing. So we will have a JSON blob in data in section that will capture the request. And another would be a request, a new request model. Okay, so I'll just briefly explain what we want. So this is the previous thing that I defined. We have the name status change data. The status change data will have the status change from a manager. When a manager changes a section, then this particular field gets added with all the change data. Okay, and then the manager will get this change data as, okay, manager wants to change this particular data, do you want to agree or not? If it agrees, then in the backend we will change the actual fields like the name or whatever fields we have, we will change the actual names. So that is one thing. Another method that I just thought about would be a new model in itself. Have a request model that will, whenever a manager wants to change a section, they will not change the section at all. They will send a request. They will create a new request model, new request data, and that request data will be shown to the manager. And then when the manager approves it, then only that thing gets reflected in the section attributes. Request one is much more, I would say it's a little bit more cleaner,
Yes, sir.
but we have to create another model. Okay, what do people want? Okay, I think I skewed the.
I
So
can't see the poll.
Oh, you can't see the poll. Okay, end the poll. 11 people have voted. Let's wait for a few more to vote.
I can't change my response.
I'm not sure about that. It's a pretty tie. New request model. I think that is winning. It should be visible. I said show results to everyone. Okay, so you see, just one tiny bit. Request model, new request model wins. And now I also think that is a little bit more cleaner because we are not storing the request inside the section. So we'll have that request model. So this request would have something like ID would be there anyways. Then we would have a JSON data of whatever request is, whatever you want to change, and let's have a status that rejected, created, and something like that. Status. Let's have a user ID as a foreign key so that we can say which user created this request. Okay, so these are the fields that we would want.
सर एंड स्टेटस चेंज के साथ तो वो सर लिंक रहना चाहिए ना सर, उसका भी
Status change के साथ it will be like it is created or it is approved, something like this. And let's have one more thing, type of request. Let's have something like section change and so on. We can also have different kind of types of requests. That is why I want to have a type so that we can query all the requests and then we can display whatever is the proper request according to different columns. So I can have one column in which I have just the section change requests, one column in another request, and so on. It is more extensible. Okay. So the section in itself has the name, which is db.column, db.string. You can have a shorter string as well. Shorter string as in like 20 characters, something like that. We will not have it nullable because there is nothing else in here that we need. So just have it like this, nullable. And apart from that, ID is already there, name, and the slot change data that has now been moved to request. Okay, so that is all we need in the section. And now let me create that new request model. Okay, so I'll just So it will be like this. Managers will request to do things, and then that will be shown to the admin. So ID is already taken care by the base model. Let's have a data. It will be a JSON blob, not a blob, JSON. Okay, status would be status can again you can create it as a enum.
Hear me?
Yeah. You have a doubt? Hello?
Sorry, sir, by mistake.
Okay. So approved or rejected, created. You can, instead of having an enum, you can also have a string. Then you can have a type. I'll just keep it a string as of now. And then user ID is a foreign key, and that tells who created this request. Okay. So user ID would be db dot. Okay, db dot column, db dot integer, db dot foreign key. Foreign key too. I think it should be foreign capital. Let me just confirm. Yeah, FO foreign key, and then foreign key to who? The user model. So it would be user dot ID. Okay. Similarly, in product, we need a section ID. That would again be db dot column, db dot integer, and then foreign key to the section dot ID. Okay. Is everyone okay with request? Any issues?
No, sir.
Okay. So this from request I can access who is the user, right? I have a physical ID in the database. I would also like to access from user. I want to access the requests, right? So I don't need a physical ID. I can just have a relationship, like a virtual relationship, and then I can access it through that. So I can just have a relationship in the user column to
So,
access the request.
so
Yes.
I was just exploring how to use SQL Alchemy to do the databases like models. I've pasted something in the chat. Can you see once like how this method is different from what we are doing?
What you have written here is yeah, I've seen this code before. I've not used it particularly. Mapped str, mapped column. So I've not used it, so I won't be able to comment on that. It is, I think, a more newer way of doing it. So like it's
Okay.
a considered a newer or a better way of doing things. But I've been taught like this, so I'm teaching it like this.
Okay, sir.
Okay, essentially does the same thing, has more features inbuilt.
Yes.
So you can do more things. Okay, here again, yeah, so I wanted to create a relationship, right? So I will have requests. So in here, I would not say db.column. Request is a relationship. A relationship means I would say user dot request. I can access all the requests made by the user, but that will not be reflected in the database. This requests would not be in the database. It will not be a column in the database. So I will just have a relationship. Relationship to the request model. And let's have a back populates also. And there will be underscore here. Back populates is user. And then since I've mentioned a back populate, that means inside the request also I should have a user. That will be a relationship. This will be user model, and the back populates would be whatever we wrote over here, requests. All right. So this is how you create a relationship. Firstly, for relationship, you need to have some kind of foreign key relationship. In here, we have a foreign key relationship. And then you can say this user, how is this user related to this request? So since we have a one user to many requests, right? One user can have many requests. And that is why I have mentioned requests, plural over here. That means whenever I say user.request, I get a list of requests. And from request, I would say db.relationship. From request, I would say dot user to get the user object of that request. Okay, similarly, we will do the same thing with section also. We created a foreign key section ID. And now let's create a relationship. So I can have products. These relationships are basically to make our lives easier. When we are coding in the backend, I can just grab a section. Suppose I get a dairy section and section dot products. That will give me all the list of products that are inside that section that have a relationship to the section. So this will be product and back populates. Okay, same thing in the products model also. I would have a relationship. Let's copy this thing again. This will be section. Back populate will be products. Section. Okay, this is fine. Okay, is everyone clear with this?
Yes, sir.
I might go into the database again when we are going with when we are working with APIs to harden this database a little bit. Right now it is a little bit loose because a lot of fields that we would need to be nullable, or sometimes some other modifications we would require to do. But this is just the base structure that we are creating. Right. So relationship for this product and section done, request and user done. Okay. So next up, the sale and sale items. Okay. Let's have that. First, let's create sale item. Base model. And then sale item had these fields: product ID, quantity. Sale item is the when someone buys a list of items, it encapsulates what are the product and what is the quantity a person has bought of that product. The quantity, price at sale, and sale ID. These are the foreign keys, and quantity is that we'll be seeing. Okay, so here quantity would be db.column, and then let's have, see, quantity we had here, right? The stock which we had it numeric. So let's have it numeric only. So when we buy a quantity, then it should deduct from the quantity of this stock. Then price at sale. Again, copy this price. And then we have foreign keys. Product ID. Right, db.integer and then db.foreign key. Foreign key to what? Product dot ID. Same goes with the sale ID. Here we go sale dot ID. Right? No issues with this. It is mapping quantity of the product that a person has taken and what is the product ID. Then next up, the actual sale, or you can call it a bill of sort. So sale is just this customer data, the date that sale happened, and optionally the total amount. I usually like to keep the foreign keys at the bottom half so that easier to see. So actually we don't need a date, do we? We already have a created at and updated at, right? So once the sale, this data is created in the sale, then this created at will automatically be updated. So we don't actually need a date. So we can remove this. Total amount also, it's a computer property. You can compute it, but just for convenience purposes, let's have this. Otherwise, what will the sale be? It will be empty only. Let's not have that. Let's create this total amount. db.numeric, let's have again 10 to customer ID is the foreign key. Foreign key to customer, not customer, user.id. Okay. So here we have the sale and sale item. This sale can have multiple sale items. That's why we have a sale ID here, which is a relationship here. So accordingly, create a relationship. You don't have to create all the relationships. It's just convenient when we do go into the backend coding. That's when this relationship becomes easier. So first of all, let's have this to the sale. Sale item has a product, so db.relationship, and relationship to sale. And then let's have a back populates. I usually like to have back populates instead of, there's also one thing called as backref. In backref, you have to just define it once. So remember, when we are using back populates, since sale item has a relationship to sale, I would have to say have a sale here, have a relationship, have a sale item over in the sale model. But if you're using backref, you just have to define it once. But that becomes a little confusing when you have a lot of different models. It's better to have back populates. You will, what you see is what you get in back populates. So if you see a sale defined in sale item, you know there's a sale relationship here. Okay, back populates sale items. And similar thing over here in sale, we have sale items and sale as back populates. Okay, so this is I think everything is complete. Let's just check. The role and user roles is left. We will create that when we are using Flask as Flask security. When we are once we go into the authentication, we'll worry about that. So admin, customer, and manager. These two the different subclasses of user we have to create, and everything else is taken care of. Okay. Any questions with this product, sale item, sale model? Okay, one thing I missed. Let's have a product relationship also. We'll have sale item, db relationship, and then the sale item is a relationship to this sale item, and back populate will be product. So this has to match this, and this has to match this. That's what. Okay, so this is our models almost done. Please see it and then tell me if you have any doubt. Okay, so my model is now done. Not done, like halfway done. Let me commit it and then push it to GitHub. So I'll say okay, so model somewhat done. So we can have intermediary commits as well, not an issue. And then I'll sync the changes. Okay, so once you think one kind of thing is ready, then you can commit and save the changes. So committing is like a save point. You can come back to this point anytime you want. If you mess up later on, that is not an issue. You can just come back to it. Okay, let's try to start it. First of all, let's see if the models are being created properly or not, and after that we will continue. So what do we need in order to link this to my app.py? It's simply, I will just wherever I imported this, right? I have imported from extensions, import db. So for this db is inside extensions, right? So I will import in here. Let me import, and we will init the app. db.init app and then app. So this is how the connection Flask with Flask. Okay, this is the connection that is happening between Flask and Flask SQL Alchemy. Is it okay? Okay, let's have db.create all. So this will create all the database and tables.
So, but
Let
what
me
about the context, app context also we have to do, right?
let's see if it requires app context, then we will do it. I'm also a little bit confused. Sometimes it wants context, and mostly for DB creation it wants context. Let's just let's test if it works or not. Okay, so we were running our Flask server over here. Okay, one more thing I forgot to add. I want to have some kind of configuration so that it knows where to store the database. Okay, so typically for config, we have like a base config, and then we have a local development config, we have a production config. So let's follow that construct. Base config would just say things like whatever is the requirements. So let's have SQL. I'll just copy this configuration. So configuration is a little bit tedious to write. I just need this Flask SQL tracker modifications. Okay, so tracking modifications will be off because it creates a lot of overhead and it's not required in our case. And what else we need? Yeah, this database URI we need. Okay, so this is my local development config and it will inherit the base config. So base config, whatever it has, those values will still be there in the local development configuration. And apart from that, we can define more options over here. So SQL Alchemy database URI, we have this. So I'm just mentioning where I want to store this SQL Alchemy database. Fine. Okay. So now let's have
So the
this.
debug is equal to true, false, all that.
Yeah.
All that also we need to.
Let's have that debug equal to true. I will run this Flask application again. First, let me import from this.
So why are we separating into two different configurations and not one?
You can have it one also. The thing about this is a like a construct that we try to follow. We have base config that has all the things that are in both local development as well as production. So we could also have a production environment class production something. Production config. Okay, so you could have something like this. You generally have something like this when you're trying to host it. So whatever is common between the local and the production, you would store it over here so that you don't repeat everything. And whatever is different, you would store it in the particular fields, like debug equal to false in this. We don't want debug information in the production. Okay, something like this.
Thank you, sir. Got it.
Okay, so first of all, I'll import this and then I will config from object. I will import local development config, and then when I'm doing this, I will from object, I will give it this local development config. Okay, let me try to run Flask application again. Okay, so I'm saying dot config. What let's do, so I'm trying to have relative imports when it's not a package. So parent package, you can make it a parent
Sir, I
package
have
by
a doubt.
simply, yeah. Just before
Sir,
that, let's discuss this. I
I
have
have
this
a doubt.
extension. So whenever I'm doing dot, that is creating an issue. So what I can simply do is I can just go here. I can have underscore underscore init dot py. This will make this backend a package. So now I can do relative imports from here. Okay, so still has a problem. Okay, so let's remove the relative imports. We will figure that out later on. So extensions also. So yeah, you're right. It says it wants a app context. So we can just run it in app context. Just create all. This is just for trial purposes. I will not use it like this again. I will remove this. Okay, in app context, I will db.create all. Okay, so let's see. Database is here, but database has nothing in it. Okay, I'll fix that. First, let's see what the doubt was.
I am just asking, sir, can we import also na db dot extension from database in the above outside the function?
This one.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
you can do that.
Oh,
Okay, so let's see what is the error over here. From app, db.init app, we did. And we have db initialized over here. We are importing inside it in the models. Okay. So instead of importing it from extension, I should actually import it from models, because then models will also be imported, right? Okay, let me try that. Importing the db from models. Yeah, is there something someone has written? Yeah, so you're saying you did not import models. Let's have that from models. I will import db. Okay, first of all, let me change this. I don't like this particular, I don't know what it is called, whatever I want to see. Oh, okay. Okay, it is there. I don't know. Okay, so once I imported it from this, it has now created it. So all the user items, product items, everything is there. You can see this, the table also ER diagram, not ER diagram particularly, the relationships. User will have a request, a user would have sale, and then the sale item would have
So what
sale
is
and
this
product.
extension?
Sorry, I could not hear you.
So what is this extension where you are doing this?
Yeah, this is called SQLite Viewer, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't like this particularly. I use a different one right now. That's I want to change. Let
Oh,
me show that. So in this, it is good to see what are the relationships, foreign key relationships over here. But the problem is it is harder to change items or add items here. So I use a different extension these days, is SQLite 3, one with the floating one. Yeah, this one, SQLite 3 editor. That is what I use these days. But I'm not sure why it is not opening with this. Let me just double check.
maybe disable the other one.
Yeah, let me try. Okay, actually, I'm not even really sure what I use. Let's see. Yeah, this is the one that I used previously. Okay. Yeah, this is the one. This is the one. Yeah. So SQLite 3 only I use.
Yeah,
Fine.
it's the same, right?
Same one. Okay. So it just did not have the data in it. That's why I was confused. Okay. So you can see whatever we had defined is over here. First of all, the user name, email, password, ID, created at, updated at, all the things are here. And similarly, everything should be here. That is fine. Okay. So this is our models created. Uh, what else do we need? So for the models, for the user model, we decided to take different approaches, different models for admin or admin, customer, and manager. So let's create that next.
So the name of the extension is SQLite 3 Viewer.
SQLite 3 viewer with the floating
Got it.
that feather.
Okay.
SQLite 3 editor. All right. So everyone's good till this point. Any doubts?
No, sir.
See, I was not previously, I was not getting all the tables. So what I did change was from models, I imported the DB. Instead of from extensions importing to DB, I imported it from models. Okay. So here we are, created the models. Next step, just a few changes in the models that we need to do. So here we would have a different class. Let's have a class for admin. Hmm, I don't know what would should any different attributes that we would like. Any ideas? What we can add for admin? I need some suggestions. I can't think of any attribute for admin.
So password should be static for admin or like locally scheduled.
That we can enforce through controllers. See, password is already there in user, and user is like a sub. User is a common thing, and admin is like a subclass
Sir,
of a
I
user.
had a doubt.
Although, yes,
So for if you link it to base model, so the ID, how will you freeze for the admin?
I'm not planning to freeze for admin.
Sir, what about authority level, like clearance?
Clearance levels. Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
in admin.
We can have that. I don't know. I at least need one so that we can just try it out. Any other ideas? Okay, let's have
Can we define
clearance.
admin and manager through user?
Yeah. So the original plan was to have this user model only, and then accordingly through that we will define. But all the students suggested to have different classes for admin, manager, customer. That's why I'm having like this.
Oh, sir, excuse me.
Yeah.
So wouldn't admin be inheriting from the user?
See, yes and no. See, uh, technically you are right. We should inherit from a user, but the way that I'm creating it, it will cause an issue when I inherit from a user. Since I'm using Flask security assumes you have one user model, one role model, and one user roles model. So the user model, we have to keep it like this only. That's why I'm not inheriting from it.
Maybe we could have defined user as a universal user and then different profiles, let's say doctor profile and then admin profile and manager profile,
Y-
customer
Yeah, this
profile.
is something like that only. You just have more data that is specific for these roles stored inside it. That's all.
Yeah.
So we can have approval status, right? Yes or no kind of thing.
Mm. Okay, let's do one thing for admin. Let's not create another class because I don't think it is really required. Let's have just two, manager and customer. Okay, so manager, I can think of some things like salary. Right, let's have a salary. Give me ideas. I need more ideas. Students, ideas, please.
So can you just show that sheet where you're the whiteboard where you had discussed?
Yeah, but we had not added what we need for admin, customer, manager.
So maybe some kind of view access, product view, boolean true.
Mm, we can have that, but I don't think we will implement that. Any other like simple attributes that you want for manager?
Sir, we can have department, I think.
Mm, let's have it. Oh, okay. Let's keep it simple, not too hefty. Okay.
So, but in the project statement, I think there was something regarding that the admin will be approving the manager or something like that, right? So, in that case, we will need
Hmm.
a model for the this also admin also.
See, admin will utilize this user model itself because it does not have anything else. So roles will be different for everything. That is fine. We will have a role here as well. But I'm just saying what are the different items that are required in manager? What are the different things, different data points that are required in the manager versus the admin? That is what I want.
Okay.
See, what we'll do is, see, we'll also have a class role. Okay. I'll just pass it right now. We will have a class user role. Okay, we'll have all this. This is required for Flask security in order to create this role mapping, user and role mapping. User has which role? This particular user has what role? So that will not, so this all three models together can decide a user with a particular role. So I will have a roles over here, roles. That is fine. What I mean by having a different class or manager customer is the different data that I want. So like manager will have a salary, customer will not have a salary. Customer will have something else. Like let's have a loyalty points. Okay, db.integer, fine. So these are the different things that we can have. Okay, so any different data that I require for a customer versus a manager, we will be storing it over here in a different class. And again, it will be. So what I'm doing is not enforcing the same ID for. Actually, we can have enforce the same ID. So who was suggesting for the same ID? Hello, can you hear me?
So same ID as in, I didn't get you.
Same ID for the manager, which has the user and the manager. So a manager with ID 1 would also have a manager ID of 1. Okay, so let me do it my way. I'll just simply have a foreign key to user.
Sir, in hindsight, I feel the single model would have been a much simpler to execute.
Yeah, it is simpler, but see, this was students' request, and for hospital management, I think it would be much more. It would be like better in this regard. So you can have more data for a doctor compared to a different set of data for a doctor versus a patient. Although you can fit everything into one, we won't worry about that, but it is better. So this user ID db.integer, and then it will be a foreign key. Foreign key to user.id. Okay. Similarly, we will have for here also user ID. Right now, I'm not defining relationships. We will manage it internally in our application. Okay, so we'll also have a role. We'll also have role, but that will implement when we are actually implementing the Flask security, because that comes under that Flask security. Okay, so let me just save it, test if it is working or not. Okay, Python server is running, and okay, I'm not in full screen. I should have been in full screen mode. Okay, so here we are. Let's see, all the data is there. Sale item, product manager, everything comes up. Okay, is everyone fine till this?
So have we done something in init.py?
In init, this file are you talking about?
Yes, sir.
No, this is completely empty. It just tells that this This folder is a module. That's what. So that allows for relative imports, but I was not able to do a relative imports right now. I'll just check what is the issue. But we should be able to do it.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Everyone clear till this point?
Yes, sure.
Okay. So next up, what should we do? See, first we created this. We created the models. Now our next step should be
Flask security.
either to create this endpoints or to have Flask security. So Flask security would be a better option because see, certain resources need certain authorization. Authorization means a manager can access this resource, or only an admin can access this resource. That's why it's better to implement first security, basically authorization or authentication, and then go into this endpoints, creation of the endpoints. Okay, so let's take our next step. So for Flask security, we will go to the Flask security documentation, and then we'll cover from there. Okay, let's go to Flask security documentations. So we will go with the basic SQL Alchemy, Flask SQL Alchemy application. Okay, so these are the few things that we need to require in order to have this Flask security set up. Okay, so we have a secret key that we need to have. So let's put that. Okay. I'm just going through the documentation, whatever we require, I'm just putting it. So secret key, keep it very secure. So it should be technically a random key that should be generated from somewhere, but I'm just keeping it like this. Although one more thing, the secret key, whatever is very important for your application security, you should not keep it in code. You should store it like environment variables. You should have it in there. So it's a better practice to have it from environment variables. So do you want me to show how to do that? Wherever you're doing for production environments, right? It is better to have all the secret key and everything stored there. Whatever is important, like all the tokens, all the secret keys stored in the environment variables. Okay, so it's pretty simple to do it, to be honest. Let's have .env. So this is for coding purposes. For production, so if we get time at the later points of time when we have completed the project, then I'll also show you how to deploy it. So for deployment also, we will need all this data. So we have a .env. We just create that .env in the root folder and have the secret key and then equal to whatever you want. So it does not have a string, something like this. Okay, but I need to load it from somewhere. To load it, I would use a .env. That's what Flask told us to do. So os.environment.get.env. Okay, so we can use this. So first of all, we show the secret key here. And whenever we are coding, we are storing that. So in the config, we are getting it from the environment variables. So environment variable is not directly inside our code. It is injected either using Python using .env, or there are other ways to do it also. So we have imported this. So we also need to do one thing. We have to load this environment variable from this .env. So for that we need another Python library, load, I think it's called .env. pip3 install dot. Let me just search it first. Okay, Google search is better. So python.env, that is the name of this .env, and you can use load.env to load this from the .env file. Okay, so now inside my app.py, after I created it, I will load this .env. This is not necessary, just a good practice in order to, if you want to make scalable applications, you need to learn all this. It's simple, just call this function. So it will load all the variables from .env, and then you can use that. So in config, I will get os.environment.get secret key. The secret key, this key should match whatever you have written over here. Secret key, okay, secret key done. Next up, we need the security password salt. So again, we'll have the password salt. Okay, and then store it in .env. Again, a random string. These things are not very important. Session, remember cookie, same site. We will not configure this right now. Database URI we already configured, and track modifications is off. Okay, fine. So this is the basic configuration that we need: secret key and security password salt. That's all we need
So
for the
why are
basic
we not
stuff.
so
Yeah, tell
why are
me.
we not so why are we not using that password salt?
We are using it.
Okay,
I've
okay.
added it. I have added it in .env, the actual value, and we are loading it from that using here security password salt.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, this will be actually in the production also, but production we should not, we should generate a random like a string, not directly type it. So I have not written that in production config. Okay, so other than that, we need the role model, the user model, and user roles. User roles is not actually defined over here. Let's see. Okay, so I think they changed the documentation a little bit. Previously, we required user roles also. So I'll just take that previous one, whatever we had. I'll just use the previous one because I'm not too sure about this, whatever is written over here in the new one. Okay. So I'll just go into the, I actually had coded all this. So I'll go here and just copy paste it. Okay, so this is for user. I need to add certain fields. This is specifically for Flask security 2. We have this fs unifier that Flask security requires in order to manage something. I don't know what exactly it manages, but it is required. And active means by default it is true, but if I set it to false, then the person will not be able to log in. All right. That means if for a manager, see what is our application. If a manager first enrolls it, then it has to be authorized by the admin. So what we can do is directly when the manager registers for the application, then they directly have that active equal to false. So they won't be able to log in until the manager approves it. And approve, we can make it to active and then they can log in. Okay, so that is the use we can have for active. And then roles is actually a list of all the role that the user will have. Okay, so user roles. And then we will have these two roles and user roles models. Okay, so here we have this role and then user role. So role is basically like this is an admin role, this is a manager role, this is a customer role. So that is what it is. That will be like admin, customer, manager. All right. And description is whatever you want to write. And user role is a mapping of which user has which role. It's a many to many relationship between user and role. So in this setup, a user can have multiple roles, but personally we would be using only one role for one user. Is this fine with everyone? We just created a role. Yes, I failed to mention this role mixin. So whenever you're using Flask security, we get something as a user mixin and role mixin. So we have to inherit the user model using that user mixin and role model with the role mixin, so that Flask security knows which is the user model, which is the role model. And internally, it will use that in order to create all that authentication and authorization. So first, let me install Flask security. pip3 install Flask security. So either you can do this or Flask security 2. Both of them point to the same repository, the same code base. So Flask security is fine. Right, it is installing. And then we'll get the role mixin and user mixin. And for user, I add the user mixin. It is not currently present. I have to import it from Flask security. Okay, I'm importing this. It says is not in Flask security. I should import it from .core. Okay, so they definitely changed certain things. Previously, we could directly import from Flask security. So now it has changed from Flask security to Flask security core. Okay, not an issue. It's just a different module I have to import, user mixin and role mixin. Is everyone following? I have to tell Flask security what is the user role, what is the user model. So for that, I use the user mixin, so that all the functionality for user mixin that the Flask has given, I can have it in this user role. For role, same thing with role mixin. All right. And the actual database, the tables are pretty simple. It's just name and description. And user roles is a foreign key to user ID is a foreign key to user.id, and role is foreign key to role.id. Okay, everyone following? Not very complicated. Just added a few things: fs unifier, active, and roles. Is it okay?
So what is this role description? I mean, you have a name also and you have description also.
Yeah, so I would, for admin, I would say it is a super user, something like that. Not really important. You can just skip it. You can just have it a name, but name is important.
Okay, sir.
Okay, I hope that is fine. So with this, the database for Flask security is ready. Now I have to configure the Flask security itself. So I have to initiate that. In extensions only, I will initiate this Flask security. So from so again from .core I have to import. I'll just instantiate this. Okay, that's just the creation of this security object. Now I can import this inside my app.py file and then run all the, well, we have to create certain things like data store in order to use that. Okay, so I'll go back to my app.py, and in here, firstly, this was the Flask SQL alchemy, Flask SQL alchemy. Now let me do instantiation for the Flask security. And then secure.init app. What else do I have to add for app for this Flask security to work? Let's see. We have to give first the application, then the data store, and then some other things that we might want to give. Okay, so to create a data store, firstly from Flask security, I will import data store. So SQL alchemy. Yeah, SQL alchemy user data store. That is what we have to import from Flask security. Now I have to create a data store with this. And what does this require? This requires the DB that we already have. DB. Then the user model. So user model also have to import. So from order, I will import the user model and the role model. DB. Then it says user and the role mixin. And other things are optional. So web auth model or none. So other things are optional. These are the required things. All right. So we added this DB user and role. So my data store is now ready. Again, I think this is giving a red squiggly line because we have changed some imports from data store, Flask security.data store. Fine. Now my security I can instantiate. So security.init app and then give it data store. Do I need anything else? So app I've given, data store I've given, none equal to none. And register blueprint also we can do. So register blueprint is what happens is Flask security has some pre-built endpoints for login, register, for error codes and so on. So if you want to use the default one that is given by Flask security, you can use this. But since we are making a basically we are making like a API kind of endpoint, so like a single page application on the front end, on the back end it is handling something by Flask, then we don't need this blueprint that is registered by Flask security. So we will have it as register blueprint false. So I will show you what is the default also. Let me just first keep it default and then we will make it false. Okay, so this initiation has been done. And last thing, what we generally do is we say app dot data store equal to data store. So what this does is inside this app it creates a attribute data store which has the data which has this data store object. So it generally makes it easier to in order to create all this data store kind of things like create user uh, or update user or all the data store things that we generally do. We'll see that becomes easier because we already have this app instance we have, and I just want to get the data store. I can just say app.data store, so it just makes it easier. Okay, so this is my security Flask security configuration. All right, let's run this. I have so many terminals. Let me close few. All right, so this is this next up. To test it, we also need to test it, right? So the easiest way to test it is just to run this. This will be not found, but login should be there. Yeah, so you can see I did not create a particular endpoint for login, but this is given to me by default from Flask security. All right. Same with register. Register is not there, right? Register or sign up. I don't know. There are certain endpoints. Okay, right now I can only remember the login endpoint. Okay, so this means that Flask security has been registered. It is working okay, at least from this point of view. Next up, let's create some data items like an admin or a manager in order to actually test if this particular endpoint is working or not. All
I
right.
think one endpoint is register.
The register I tried did not work. Okay, so anyways, this makes it clear that okay, Flask security at least initialize it is working okay. All right. So so next step would be to create uh, a admin, a test manager, a test user, so that we can test different roles, different authorizations. All right. So for that, let's create a different folder known as scripts, and then let's have like initial data. Okay, scripts initial data.py. So it's just like a script that will feed the initial data. I will just run it once that it will feed certain kind of data that we require to test. Okay, so the thing that I want to teach like this is do one thing, then test that feature out if it is working or not, so that you know at each step where if something is going wrong, you can roll back and then you can rework on that. So the same thing, I did models, then I tested it out if the models have been created. Same thing with the Flask SQL alchemy, sorry, Flask security, did that. Now I'm testing it out if it is actually working or not. Okay, so let me name it initdb. So what I want to do here is, first of all, I want to create some users, okay, manager and so on. So I need app. So from app, I will import app. So this is the app that I'm getting from here. Okay, this one I will import. This script is not to be run with Flask. This script is should be independent. You should just do Python 3 Python 3 initdb.py, and it should be able to create certain data in the database. That's what I want. So it's a one-time use kind of thing. You can run it after every if you delete the database, you can run it to get all the initial data. That is what I want. Okay, so firstly, to create anything, we need app context. So we'll do that. And then let's create certain roles. So remember data store, we stored it as app.datastore. Remember here, line 23, app.datastore is data store. That is what we'll be using. Since data store, we have not exposed it directly. We are exposing as an attribute as a property of app. So we can use this. So data store equal to app.datastore. App.datastore. All right. So let's create from data store. We can create users. So let's have an admin role. So I'm not getting a syntax, what do you say, autocomplete here in IntelliSense. What I can do is I can explicitly tell that this data store is of what type. So I can import from Flask security. I can import a data store, import SQL Alchemy user data store. Okay, and then I can say what this type of user SQL Alchemy user data store. Okay, so now I can get autocomplete because now VS Code recognizes that what is the type of this data store. So I want to create a role, create or find or create role. Okay, find or create role. That is better. If it already has a role, then it will not create, and otherwise it will create a role. So name is admin, and we can also give it a description. Same with manager. Same thing with user or a customer. Okay, we should be able to have 3 different roles. And once we do data store.find or create role, that is a helper function from Flask security, data store.find or create role. And after that, we can do db.session.command. That is what we can do. So we also need to import db, but db is not exposed. So we can do something else from models. I can import db. Okay. Let's have it in a try catch. Okay. So this should, if I run this, it should create. Let me try to run it. I'll open up a new terminal. I'll go into cd scripts, cd backend / scripts. Okay, so Python 3 initdb.py. Okay, so relative imports, not known parent package. Okay, makes sense. When I say dot dot, it says it needs to know where is the parent, so it can go back. So in that case, what I will do, I will go cd dot dot into the backend folder. I will run this scripts as a module. Then it will recognize that where I am running it as. So I can go Python 3 module script. should be able to run like this. Let me just Google search how to run.
Excuse me, sir. Where might
Yes.
we find the code? Is there a GitHub link?
Yeah, I will share the GitHub link.
And is there any GSpace created for the project already, sir?
Project GSpace has not been created. Is it? No, it has not been created yet. That will be created later. That is mostly for helping you in with the submission process, the Viva process. So
And
this
where can we?
particularly for this project sessions related things, everything will be on discourse.
Okay, I was looking for this this
Hmm.
project's wireframe and the project statement. Where will
Yeah,
I
it
find
is on
the
discourse.
discourse?
I have added it.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, I appreciate. Thank you.
it is pinned on the top. In the top 3, it will be there.
Okay, so thank you.
So,
Yeah.
sir, in the scripts folder we have init.db, not init, right?
Okay. Yes, you are right. Still running into errors. With the relative imports only. Let me think how to solve it. We have this scripts and I want to go back to this app.py. So you're saying top level is this. Okay. I can go back one step. See how many things I have to go. Okay. So all these things, to be honest, I'm a little weak on relative imports. So I'll also have to study a little bit. But yeah, a little try and error, you should be able to solve it. Okay, it says config is not found. Oh, no module name config. Just give me a moment. Okay, let me try to do a little bit differently. From app only, I will import. From models, I'll import model. And I'll run the script from backend folder. cd backend. Okay, yeah. So now it is running. First of all, let's see what is the error being caused. It's saying no ID role dot name. You can see there is some kind of error. Operational error, no column role dot name. Select role dot name, role dot description. So let's see if we did some kind of wrong thing. So okay, I understood what is the issue. The instance that we created should not have these roles in it, right? Okay, role. Yeah, role does not have a name in it. Go back to the model, add the role should have a name. Okay. So what I will do is when I'm doing this operation in a DB, I will have a db.create all, and before that I will have a db.drop all. It will delete all the data, delete all data, and then create a fresh database. All right. So it should basically, this is like you are refreshing everything when you run initdb. Okay. So should also have some kind
So
of
every
good
time we
message.
run the app, so it will just drop all the tables and recreate it, is it?
Yeah. So this is initially for just initializing the database. After that, don't use it. Okay, so here we are, and let's check the database if the roles have been created or not. So if you look here, the roles have been added. All right, the role has been added, and you can see. Remember, we had this created at and updated at as a base model. So this is reflected in every model. We have role manager. Everything has this created at updated at an integer. So ID. All right. Similarly, the user roles is not been created yet because we have not mapped any user to a role. So that is the last thing. Let's do create some users and map them to roles. Fine. Any issues up till this point? We have used the data store dot find or create role.
So
Okay.
this roles table is also inheriting from the base model.
Yes. And that is why we have this created at and updated at in roles also. A role. Okay, created at updated at. If you see this model, it will have a ID also. Oh no, it does not have ID. But if it has a ID, that is also not an issue. It overrides it. If it has
Okay,
an
sir.
ID, then it will override the ID from the base.
So what is
But
this main purpose of created at, updated at those attributes?
That is morely for so for later points we will query the database. So we can query it according to the time. We can see what items were sold at what point. We can see when the products were added, when they were changed. So all kinds of queries, time-based queries we can do.
Because we are having those attributes in every model, right? Which we don't need. We need it only in the sale
Yeah,
column, right?
that's true. That's true. But it's a general rule in database that you have this created at, updated at, deleted at, so that we get a time frame of when these things happen. So in general, it is a good habit. It's for us, it's not really required everywhere, but just by seeing this, you can know, right, when the user was created, when the role was created, and so on. So it's basically a very good utility you can use in order to further like change the data and then see what is going on inside the data. Otherwise, you will have no idea on when it was created.
And so one more silly doubt. So the init underscore db dot py, you said that that will be run only during first, like when we, if at all we delete a database and then we want to recreate it, right?
Yes.
Okay, so like how are you ensuring that you? I didn't. I maybe I missed it. Did you connect it to the app.py any chance?
No, it is totally independent of app.py. So that is why we are manually running this. We are running this using this
Acha, acha,
Python
you're
3.
saying that before running
Yeah.
app.py Python 3 app.py, you'll be running this first and then you'll be running app.py. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Okay. So this is one thing that we manually would do, that after any changes in the database, if you just want to reinitialize the database, so while developing, what happens, a lot of things will change. And then if you want to just manually change the database, delete it, because if I change the model, right, it will not be reflected in the database. I have to delete it, and then it will have to be recreated in order to reflect all the different attributes that I have added later on. So in that case, you can just run the initdb script that will drop all the old database, and then recreate it. So when you are actually developing, it will be very helpful, this script, because otherwise you'll have to manually delete it every time, recreate the database. So it does everything in this script.
So also one more thing. So like while doing Mad One project, actually I realized I got to know that many people use this seed data kind of some kind of script wherein you
Yes,
can artificially create a lot of users or whatever, fill up all the
yes,
tables as
definitely,
per the
definitely.
models. Yeah.
Yes.
So is it necessary so for this project as well?
It is not necessary, but highly recommended. See, if you're showing that application to someone, examiner, YY examiner, if your application is totally empty, does not have any data in it, how will you show it? If it has some kind of data, it has a time series data, then you can show, okay, this is the kind of data that admin would see, a manager would see.
So
So
in
a
that case,
seed is,
can we implement that in this case so that we get to know how
yeah,
to?
yeah. So I have plans to implement that. Yes, seed.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So init, and then let's create certain users. So let's first check if it's not in the if the user is not there. So let's check if data store dot find or create find or create role we already do. Let's have find user. Find user. Let's have this. Okay. We'll have the email. It should be unique. Let's have that. It's admin at study. Okay. If this is there, if this is not there, then we'll create this. Then data store dot create user. Okay. And in create user, we'll give a whole bunch of, it takes keyword arguments. That means key, this whatever data is there. So for our case, the user has email. Okay, next up, I think has a name. Just let me go back to my models, check what we have. Name, email, password, fs unique. This will be auto added by Flask security. Active default is there. That's all we need. Name, email, password. So for password, if we just store it like this, let's have pass. If we just store it like this, then the issue is that it is not hashed. It will be there in the database as plain text. So we will implement something. So first let's try this out. If not user, then create user, and then let's, okay, try, and rollback is already there. Fine. So let me run this again. It should drop the database again, create a new one. And let's see the model. Let's see the database. And go to the user. Okay, admin one has now been created. You can see the password as stored in plain text. That is not good. That is stored as plain text. Otherwise, if any data breach happens, if your database gets leaked, then anyone can just see what was the password of this user. So that should not be stored as plain text. We'll hash it. Next step, fs unifier. This is already been done by Flask, so we don't need to worry about. And active was default, that is true, and ID is here, that is also fine. All right. So data, we are able to get it. That is okay. And then let's create a few more. Okay, so before that I should have hashed it, right? So we need to hash it. Let's have a password equal to, so Flask gives us a hash password. Hash password. So hash password we can use to hash it. So when you are creating a new user also, you need to hash the password and store it. And this will be the exact way to create a new user also. So hash password, I'll just replace everything. So for hashing, I think by default it takes something argon something it uses to hash it. Let's see if it works or not. Otherwise, we'll install the hashing algorithm. Okay, yeah. So it says security password salt must not be none when security password hash is set to argon2. Okay, so there is something wrong with our application. It is not, it has some issues. I don't know why, but the security password hash has not been imported properly from .env. So I said security password, oh, security password hash should be there. Okay, that is fine. Security password salt must not be none. So it is actually getting none, but it should not be none. Let's see why it is getting none. In the config.py security password salt. Okay, so just one thing I will do. I will just print this out. Let's see what is the value of this. So wherever I have imported this local development config, I'll just print this out. Local development config dot security password salt. If it comes up as hash, that means it is not imported properly as none. Okay, so I can see it is giving this. So that means it has been imported, which is the one that we had selected. But I am not sure why this is causing an error. Okay, let me just rerun it. Okay. Let me think about it.
So
Why
we
are
have
we
one
getting
more
this?
worksug security also we have, right? Check password
Yes,
generate.
we have different works security. Yeah, so that is what Flask uses internally. This is basically the hashing algorithm that is being used. Argon2 is a default one. We have bcrypt also. Bcrypt was giving some error previously when I used, so I thought of using this Argon2 only. Um, Let me see what I did previously.
So in case if we use JWT for both for RBAC as well as for like for authentication both, like
Authentication, yeah. You
then
can
in
use
that
that.
case we don't have to use all this data store and we don't have to do all this.
No,
a
you don't
user
have to
role
do
use.
that. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I had added the URL, security password key, security key. So this one we should have added later on. Okay, let me just try to install Argon. See if that is causing error. Let's copy paste the error here or in ChatGPT. Let's see what happens. You would give it the full context what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm setting. I have set the password salt is set, but still giving errors. Okay, most of the things that it is saying that I have done. Let me try to do just one thing. I manually change this password hash to Argon 2. Inside the config, I will change it to Argon, the security password hash to Argon 2. Just maybe I mistyped it. Configuration, security password, salt. Okay, so instead of loading from dot, okay, I got it. The problem was, okay, I'll explain the problem what it was. So since I was doing os.get environment, when I used it as a script, then it was causing an issue because this load env, I only did it inside this app.py. So load.env, I did it inside app.py. So what I do load env inside this config itself and import. From .env, I'll import load.env and then go back to how it was. Okay, now it should work. Syntactical errors upside. Okay, so now it says argon2 no backends available. Okay, so it says install argon2. Because I don't have argon2 this hashing algorithm, so I need to install it. I will install it. Okay, module created successfully. Fine. Now let's go into the database, check if all the things are created properly or not. So hashing now has been done. You can see this value is now been hashed. The password is now hashed. And the important thing is, although the passwords are the same, you can say for me, I had all the passwords as same. If you go here, you see all the password as pass, but the hash is different. The hash is different because internally it adds certain values to the password in order so that even that same passwords don't have same hash. So you can see this fs, wa, wx, all these have different hashes. So that is how you can store passwords. So next, we created user, we created a role. The next point is to create this mapping user roles. So add user to role. That is what we want to do. So let's have that in init by initdb. Data store not add role to user. That is the thing. So user, you have to give it a user object. Firstly, a user object and a role. Okay, so I will do it after I create this. So after the commit, I will try it. So I'm finding all these things. Customer. I'm also getting the roles. Data store dot find role. Role is a str. So role would be admin here. Next up, I would find a role of manager. Next up, customer. Okay, and then I will add a data store dot add role to user. So first I give the user admin1 and a role admin. Okay, it is giving some squiggly lines, but let's see if it works or not. Admin. Next up we have manager and manager role. Customer and customer role, and finally db dot session dot create commit. and in the accept, rollback. Okay, again, since we have to do the same thing, let's run this init script. Roles added, created successfully. Fine. So my init is working. Let's see the database if the roles have been added or not. Okay, so you can see even in the roles table, a user role table, we have this customer manager admin. This has to be the admin has been mapped to the admin role, customer has been mapped to the customer role, and so on. So you can use this in order to create the initial first data of the database. In the problem statement, it has mentioned the data, the admin should only be created once while creating the application. So you can use this in order to create the admin only once. And other things we can remove that, but if you want, you can keep it just for testing purposes. At least for now, until we are testing, at least this user and manager has to be there so that we can test all the different roles out. So this is what yeah, this is all we'll be doing for today. In the next session, we'll be covering the login, the authentication, the authorization, and whatever time we have left, we'll create the endpoints for all the different things that we decided. So these endpoints we'll create, and then login and authentication, authorization we'll be doing. Okay, any doubts?
So can we have a link to this GitHub repo? Just
Yeah, let me just push
where
it.
you'll be pushing this code. Yeah.
Let me push it and create a new. Okay, so I pushed it. I'll just create a new branch also so that you can have it. So I don't know how to create a branch like this. I'll just create a branch.
So what is the
Okay.
purpose of this branch?
See, I'll just tell you. Okay, so this branch has been now been said. This is end of session 2. Okay, I should have mentioned it. Session 2. Okay, let me just rename the branch. Okay, I'll delete the 01. All right, so if you go into GitHub, this is the wrong one. I will share this link anyways. I'm just sharing it right now, but I'll add it to on discourse as well. Okay, so you are here. I had pushed all the changes. So this main branch will always have the current code, what I'm currently working on in this live sessions. All right. This 02 models, 02 model Flask security, that has fixed. That means this is the end of this session. The end of the session, you have this much code. So if you want, you can refer exact what code I ended with session 2. So this will not be changed. That's why I have different branches.
Okay, so got
So
it. So
for
you will be working
session,
on the main thing, and then we will at the end of session 2, whatever you finish, we'll get to know till what extent you have
yes,
done. Got it.
yes. So exactly, you can see what changed from one branch to another. Also, you can just refer back if you're watching through a YouTube video. Also, you can just refer what branch you had we had working on then, and then you can see. Let me just delete this previous branch. Okay, so deleted this branch. You will only see 02 and main. Main is the default one that we'll be currently working on. Okay, so that will be end of the session. We'll continue in the next session. Any doubt up till this point? Okay, then thank you. You can refer to all the code, everything there. Also, any doubts you have, just mention it on. We have a linked. We have a discourse for that. Any doubts you have, you can just go there. Mat to project, and then just add your doubt over here. Don't share the exact code, but whatever overview or any doubts, certain doubts you have related to the sessions, just mention it. We will try to solve it. Group project we'll do together. Okay, help you in
So
that sense.
can
And yeah, tell me.
so can you recommend the project list playlist, because like previous year previous terms playlist, like because it will take time to reach till the end of the project, right?
Correct,
So
correct. So you can just go through. mm, You can go through the last terms. So May 25 playlist. That will be fine. So it will be almost the same. Only thing is it was done using JWT. So we are using Flask security now.
okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, you can go through this. Mat 2 section May 25. Yes, I think they had used Flask security, JWT, but
Yes.
instead we'll be using Flask. Yeah, so JWT was used, but that is not an issue. So you can just follow this, and other things are pretty much the same. And you can ask any doubts if you want. Okay, thank you everyone. Thanks for
Thank you, sir.
joining.
Thank you so much.
See you in the next one. Yeah, and definitely post on discourse, because this sessions, it's like if you're working on your own, you won't be able to ask everything real time, right? You can't have everything on live. So just use that discourse post, use that forum, and then we can help. Okay, thanks everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Bye
sir.
bye, good night.
Right. Thank you, sir.